Hi guys, I'm Rebecca and welcome to this all levels stretching class. So in this class we're going to be focusing on stretches for shoulders and the hips. You're going to need 2 blocks and when you're ready, come to join me on the mat. So we're going to start off in a reclining Baddha Konasana position. So with your blocks, you can either place them on a low, medium, or high height. I'm going to go on a medium height and I'm going to place 1 block lengthways between my shoulder blades, and then I'm going to use the other block to support the back of my head. If this is too much for you, you can take the blocks down on a lower height. I'm then going to press my hands against my thighs, creating a little bit of traction. And I want to keep my feet active, so I'm pressing down through the knife edge of the feet. Then when you're ready, you're just going to take the back of the hands onto the thighs, the palms facing up towards the sky for receptive energy. And closing your eyes, just take a moment to tune in. So imagine there's a light right at the top of your head and it's shining a little torch all the way down the spine. So scanning the body, being aware of how you physically feel today. Noticing the points of connection with the ground. Noticing any heaviness or aches or pains without judgment, just being aware where you hold tension in your body. We're then going to start to direct the breath to these areas. So breathing in and breathing out through your nose. And as you inhale, visualize the whole of the body expanding 360 degrees. And as you breathe out, just visualize an element of softness and letting go. So as you inhale, creating space, and as you exhale, letting go of anything that does not serve you. So letting go of any expectations, of any to-do lists, and just making this time to be present and to connect in and tune in directly with you and how you feel. Making this time for yourself. We'll then take the hands together in prayer and set an intention for our practice to create space. So setting aside this time for you and letting everything else go. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste. So from this position, take the hands down and draw your knees together. We're then going to lift the arms up and overhead and interlace the fingers, pushing the palms up towards the sky. Then as you inhale, create a little bit of extension, lifting up. And as you exhale, start to lift the arms up and overhead. You can either stay here, or if it feels comfortable for you already, you can start to straighten out the legs and point down through the toes, stretching the tops of the feet. Taking a deep breath in here and a deep breath out, just seeing if you can let go a little bit more. We're then going to take the arms back up towards the sky and place the opposite thumb and the opposite little finger on top. So again, let's use the breath to open up. So as you inhale, lifting and extending, and as you exhale, drawing the arms up and overhead. And visualize you're pushing the door open with your hands behind you. Nice. We'll then lift our arms back up towards the sky, holding on to opposite elbows. Again, big breath in, imagine the whole of the upper back expanding. And then as you breathe out, just visualize your body as completely soft and weightless, like you're floating in water. Again, deep breath in here. So breathing into any tightness. And a deep breath out, letting go of any thoughts, any expectations. We'll then lift the arms back up. So we'll swap the bind, so crossing the opposite hand on top, lifting up. And again, drawing your arms back, moving softly like you're just gliding through melted chocolate. Again, deep breath in, breathing into the whole of the back of the body. Deep breath out, surrender and let it go. We'll then bring the arms back, start to bend the knees, and we'll cross the right arm underneath the left arm. You can either stay here or you can take the palms together. So from this position, we're going to take the right leg on top. And again, either stay here or you can double bind and hook the toes. So we're coming into a supported fish pose, and then start to lift the arms up and away from your body. You can even use the base of the thumb to gently massage the temple here. So just closing your eyes, going within. And again, just ask yourself, how deeply can you let go? How much softness can you find within the pose? And again, if you notice any areas in the body, particularly the upper back that feel tight, just see, can you direct your breath to those areas? One more breath in here and out. We're then going to release the bind. So we'll bring the opposite arm underneath now. So my left arm's going to go underneath. Again, if you can double hook. And then I'm going to release the legs and place the left leg on top now. So again, either staying here or seeing if you can take the left foot and bring it around the right ankle. And again, just close your eyes and ask yourself the question, how deeply are you letting go? So especially in such a busy world, it becomes really difficult for us to actually know how to relax. So sometimes when you close your eyes, it just takes your awareness a little bit deeper into what's going on within your body, and just always ask yourself that question, be curious, what's going on with me today? Where am I holding on to tension? Where could I let go a little bit deeper? And give yourself permission to do this. Or then releasing the legs, taking the hands underneath your bum, dig the elbows into the ground to push yourself up to a seated position. We're then going to start to get into the hips a little bit. So we're coming into a star pose. So taking the soles of the feet together and making a long diamond shape here. Walking the sit bones backwards a little bit. So we have different options we can do. You can take the arms underneath the knees, hold on to the tops of the feet and round the spine and draw down. If you want to use a block to support you here, you can use a block. So taking a block and placing the forehead on it. Or if you do want to work deeper into this stretch, because we're all different levels, you could place one block on top of another block, cross the left ankle on top of the right ankle, and then hold onto the blocks and draw yourself down. And we're going to hold this stretch for about a minute. So you want to find an element of softness in it. So you're not holding on too much. And if you need to take any little wiggles to get yourself comfortable. And often we can hold a lot of tension in our hips. In yoga, it says this is where we hold our emotions, as it corresponds to our sacral chakra, which represents our relationships with ourselves and with other people. And often when we feel tight in these areas, it isn't just a physical sensation. It sometimes may bring up emotions, as we hold emotions in our body like a memory. So the body has a memory, and sometimes when we're holding these poses, we can feel releases. So just breathing into it, whatever comes up, letting it come up, and then just making a choice to let it go, as everything in life is a choice. We can't always control what's going on in the external world and our external environment, but we can always choose how we respond to it. So ultimately, you are your own creator. You have power over your own thoughts and over your own emotions. And it's really important sometimes to
remind yourself that nobody can make you feel anything. Ultimately, you choose to let them. So just spend a few more breaths here, and again, just being aware, tuning in. Maybe you don't feel anything at all. Maybe you feel a lot, and this can change from a day-to-day basis, and that's okay. We'll then slowly start to break the pose, so coming out of it. I'm going to place the blocks off to one side. And then from here, I'm going to take the right foot in towards me. So I'm coming into a half butterfly position. Again, I want to keep my left foot active here. And I'm going to walk the hands over to the right-hand corner of the mat. You can either stay here or you can start to draw your forearms down. And if it feels comfortable for you, start to walk the hands a little bit further forward. But what you want to be aware of here is that your left hip doesn't start to roll up. So keep it rolled down, or you can even take your left thumb to the left hip crease and think of externally rotating that left thigh and drawing it down. Curling the left toes back towards the left knee so the ankle's supported and active. And we're just going to hold each of these stretches for about 30 seconds. Something to think about here, rather than just rounding and dumping down into the pose, start to find a little bit of extension in the spine. So with your forearms, pull them backwards towards your hips and direct your chest forward, gazing up and in front of you like you're gazing over the edge of a cliff, looking into the distance. Nice. We'll then slowly work our way out of this pose and swap sides. So now I'm going to slide my right foot backwards, my right foot forward and my left foot backwards. So start to walk your hands this time to the top left-hand corner of the mat. And again, you can either stay here or you can start to draw yourself down onto your forearms. Try to make sure that that right hip stays down. So again, you could take your thumb, take it into the crease of the right hip and externally rotate it out. And imagine it's like there's a piece of string attached to your sternum and it's being lifted up and over. So again, gazing curiously ahead. Flexing that right foot and curling the toes back towards the knee. Nice. Then we'll start to walk ourselves back, and we're now going to come into a full Baddha Konasana or butterfly pose. So there's different types of movement. We're going to work dynamically now. So drawing the knees up and down, a little bit of dynamic stretching. Like you're a little butterfly and you're about to fly off somewhere really nice. Noticing if there's a difference between both sides. So maybe one knee taps the floor before the other knee. Maybe both knees tap the floor and maybe neither does. Again, the body changes from day to day and it changes based on the time of day. So never kind of judge it, just always be curious. Okay, now we're going to work into a little bit of resistance stretching. So squeeze your thighs against your elbows like you're trying to close the pages of a book. And at the same time, resist with the elbows pushing the thighs away from you. Then breathe out through your mouth. And you're using the elbows to press the thighs down and away from you. So we'll do 2 more times like this. So again, squeezing the thighs shut, resisting with the elbows. Deep breath in, breathe out through the mouth, and then peel the thighs open. Let's just do 1 more. So squeezing the thighs together, shutting everything up, and then making the choice, relaxing and releasing down. So from here, I'll change direction so you can see. Take the left hand behind you, take the right hand onto the right thigh and start to push the right thigh down, but at the same time, you're trying to roll the thigh out so you're externally rotating. And keep pressing your left foot against the right foot so you're trying to draw the left knee down at the same time. You can either stay here or if it feels okay, you can also take the left hand onto the right thigh. Try to straighten the arms and then you'd be twisting and gazing over the left shoulder. So lifting up through the top of the head, twisting and gazing over to the left. Nice. And then we'll bring it back to center. Let's do the other side. So I'm taking my right hand behind me now. The left hand's coming onto the left thigh. I'm rolling that left thigh open, and at the same time, I'm actively pressing the knife edge of my right foot into my left foot to support that right knee to come down at the same time. Again, either stay here, or if this feels comfortable, you can take the right hand onto the right knee and start to twist, straightening out the arms and gazing over the right shoulder. Holding it here for a moment. And then bringing yourself back. And if you feel in your butterfly pose at all, like you're hunching backwards, always modify by taking a block and just sitting on it. So the spine's always nice and straight. So now I'm going to straighten out my left leg and keep my right knee bent. So I'm in a half butterfly position. From here, I'm going to take my left hand onto my left shin to base it down. And I'm going to take my right hand onto my left foot. If you can't reach your left foot here, you can use a strap to support you. So from this position, I'm going to flex my left foot so much that my left heel lifts off the ground, and I'm making sure that my knee doesn't lift off the ground with my left hand. Try not to press on the knee because it's a joint, so work with the shin. And here we're stretching out the left calf. We'll then change the direction of the stretch. So I'm now going to point my left toes and draw them down towards the ground, moving more into extension and stretching out the top of the foot and the shin, making sure that that left knee doesn't lift up. One more time, so flexing the left foot so much that the heel lifts off the ground and you can stretch out that left calf, and then pointing the toes and drawing them down towards the ground. Nice. We'll then bring ourselves back up, and from this position, bend your right foot and quarter turn it to the right. So we're coming into a gate variation. And again, if you need to modify here, you'd sit up on a block so the spine's nice and straight and you're not going into your lower back so much. So every pose will look different on every person. So now I'm flexing my left foot, pushing it down into the ground to base me. We'll start with a twist. I'm going to take my right elbow to my right shin and draw my left arm backwards. So like I'm shooting a bow and arrow to the top left-hand corner of the room, and I'm gazing at my left thumb. Different paths here. Option 1, stay here, or option 2, start to bend your left elbow, take it around the back, visualize you're reaching for the inside of the right thigh and twist. If this feels okay, the right hand can wrap around the right shin. If you want to use a strap, use a strap. And you can either monkey grip the fingers, or the right hand would go for the left wrist. So the wrapper is the grabber. I'm pressing down through my left heel, trying to keep my right hip down, and then I'm twisting and gazing over my left shoulder. You can either stay here, or if you're pretty flexible or you've got long arms like me, you can start to walk the right hand to that left elbow and then use that right arm to pull the left arm straight, twisting and gazing over the left shoulder. We'll then bring it back to the center. And from here, I'm going to take my left hand to my right thigh and push it away from me. My right arm lifts up towards the sky, and then I'm leaning up and over here. So when you're coming into this stretch, you don't want the body to be down like this. We're working into a lateral flexion, so we're stretching the right side of the ribs. So you want to make sure you're stretching this area. So if you need a strap, take it and place it around that left foot. So I'm visualizing that my left leg's a little bed and that I'm going to sleep on it. And you can either use this left hand to push the right thigh away, or if it feels okay, take your left palm down and start to walk the left arm forward. If you want more of a side body stretch and you've got the foot, you can start to point the toes and press them against the right wrist, which will give you a bit more lateral extension. You can either stay here, or if you want to challenge yourself, come onto the right tiptoes, Keep pressing that left palm down to base you. Keep the right toes pointed so you get a nice line, and then lift that right leg up towards the sky. And to stop me falling over if I'm coming into this variation, I need to make sure my left palm is active, so I'm pressing it down. If the right knee is bent, straight, re-bend it, and then bring yourself up to a seated position. Nice. I'm then going to take my right foot back in towards the center, and I'm going to bring my hands underneath my right knee, pointing through the toes. So from this position, sitting up nice and tall, so I'm trying not to lean backwards, I'm going to flex the right foot, start to straighten my right leg out, and then I'm pointing my right toes, bending it and bringing it back in. So 2 more times like this, flex the foot, straighten and extend, and then point the toes, bring it all the way back in. 1 more time like this. So flexing the foot, straighten and extend that right leg, point through the toes, and then bring it back in. So this time when we straighten the right leg, we're going to start to walk the hands towards the right calf. If you need to use a strap to do this. I'm keeping my left foot flexed and pressing it down. And if this feels okay, I can start to reach for my right foot, straighten out and hug my elbows in. If you want to go a little bit deeper, you can even reach for the left wrist with the right hand. And then rather than taking my nose towards my shin, I'm thinking of bringing my shin up towards my nose. We're then going to release the arms, micro pulse the right leg towards the face for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and then release it down and shake it all out. So let's do everything on the other side now. So I'm going to turn around so I don't have my back to you, and then I'm going to bend my left knee, keeping my right leg straight, coming into that half butterfly position. So this time I'm going to take my left hand onto my right shin and my right hand onto the top of the foot. So if you need to use a strap here. I'm then flexing my foot, pulling my right hand backwards, and I'm flexing so much that my right calf lifts off the ground, so I'm stretching out the right calf. And then I'm going to point my right toes like I'm dipping them down into water, and I make sure the back of the right knee stays down. Nice, 2 more times. So flexing the right foot, drawing the right heel off the ground, curling the toes back towards the knee, and then dipping it down like you're dipping your foot into a really nice smooth pot of water and bringing it back. Nice. So from this position, you're going to quarter turn the left foot to the left. So you're coming into a seated gate position. And again, if you need to sit up on a block to do this, sit up on a block. So we're coming back into that twist. So the left elbow comes to the left shin. And again, visualize you're drawing a bow and arrow into the sky, shooting for the stars and making a wish, gazing at that right thumb. And either stay here or the left arm can wrap around the left shin. The right arm can wrap around. If you need to use a strap, use a strap. And either monkey grip the fingers, or this time the left hand would go for the right wrist. I'm twisting and gazing over my right shoulder. And again, if you've got the space to do so, you could start to walk your left hand up the right arm and reach for the right elbow. Oh, twisting always feels so good in my body. It's a really nice release for the back. And bring it back. I'm then going to take my right hand to my left thigh. So again, I'm pressing it away and I'm leaning up and over with my left arm. So if you need a strap, wrap it around the right foot and visualize that someone's got hold of your ribs and they're spinning you open towards the sky. If you've got the right foot, start to point the toes and push them into the wrist. You can even do this with the strap. Start to point the toes and you'll get a little bit more side body. And with that right hand, you can even use it to push the left thigh away, or you can take the palm down, start to walk it away from you. And again from here, if you wanted to lift that left leg, you have to press down through that right hand so it stops you from rolling over. So this becomes your base. And again, I'd be pointing through my toes, lifting up and gazing up towards the sky. Holding it here for a moment. And then I'd rebend that left knee, bring it down and bring myself all the way up. So we're coming to sit back at the front of the mat, bending that left knee, drawing it in, and I'm going to hold underneath my left knee this time. My right foot's the base, so I'm flexing and pushing down. So from this position, I'm going to flex my left foot, lift it up towards the sky, point my left foot and bring it back down. So again, left foot flexes, try to sit up nice and tall, straighten the leg, point the toes and bring it back down. One more time, flex the foot, straighten into that left leg, point the toes and bring it back down. So now as I lift my left leg, I'm starting to walk my hands up my left calf, either staying here, reaching for the foot, or the left hand would reach for that right wrist. And again, if you need to use a strap here, use a strap to support you. And rather than taking the nose towards the shin, think you're drawing your shin towards your face. And then going to release the arms and micro pulse for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. And release it down. Shake it all out a little bit. So windscreen wiper the feet from side to side. We're then going to place the feet down. So we're coming into Malasana, pressing the elbows against the thighs. And you want to take the thumbs towards the sternum and push so you're keeping this pose active. And if you need to here, you can sit on a block to support yourself. So things to think about in this pose. You want the feet a little bit wider than the hips. The feet will probably turn out slightly, but eventually if you want to, you can work at drawing them into more of a parallel position. And again, the more I start to push with my hands, the more this is going to open my chest. And you can imagine there's a wall behind you and that the back of your head, your upper back and your lower back would be touching. So let's just hold this here for a moment. And again, Malasana is a really nice pose, just like twist to help release the back. It's one that I always do after back bends as it helps to stretch out the lower back. Then from here, we're going to bring ourselves into a ragdoll position. So in your ragdoll, start by having the knees bent and rest your ribs on your thighs. So you can imagine that you've got a rolled up towel between your thighs and your ribs and you're trying to hold it in position there. So you're working into your active compression. And also you want to shift the weight forward from the heels into the toes so it stretches out the back of the legs. We're then going to interlace the hands behind the head, come into a little bit of ballistic stretching. So imagine that someone's got their hand on your upper back and they're pressing you up and down, and we're going to pulse for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. We'll then roll ourselves back down into a Malasana, and from here we're just using this as a transition to step into a downward facing dog, Ardha Mukha Svanasana. So in your downward facing dog, bend your right knee and twist to the left, gazing underneath the left shoulder. And then bend your left knee and twist to the right, gazing underneath the right shoulder. We're then going to gaze forward and step the right foot to the back of the left hand. So in your pigeon pose, if you need to, you can take a block and you can bring it underneath that right hip to support yourself. And if you need a blanket underneath the left knee, take a blanket underneath your left knee. I'm keeping my back toes tucked underneath to begin with, as this helps to internally rotate my back leg and square my hips a little bit more. So in your pigeon, you can either stay here or you can start to draw your forearms down towards the ground. If this feels okay, maybe you can walk your arms forward and think of resting your chest down and on the floor, gazing forward towards your thumbs. And if you feel like your hips are square enough, you can then relax the top of the foot down. So let's just hang out in our pigeon today and see how it feels. And you can choose what type of pigeon you want to be. Maybe you want to be a really relaxed pigeon and just kind of sink down into it. Or maybe your pigeon's a little bit more active. So if you want to keep it more active, you could think of flexing that left foot and lifting the left knee off the ground, visualizing that you're pressing your left heel into a wall behind you and trying to straighten out that left leg as much as possible. So then relaxing your toes, walk yourself back up onto the forearms. Then from here, you're either going to place your left hand in the center of the mat, or you're going to take your left forearm down and point the left fingertips towards the right knee. From this position, take your right hand onto your lower back to base the sacrum. Think of pressing down and twist and gaze over your right shoulder. Either staying here or start to bend the left knee. To begin with, keep it flexed and we're going to micro pulse the heel towards the bum for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. Then point the toes. Try to get that heel a little bit closer. Either stay here, use a strap, wrap it around that left foot, or take the right hand onto the top of the foot and push the heel in. And there's different types of stretches here. So if we press the heel towards the butt, we're working more into our left quad. And if we start to push the left foot away from us, it takes it more into that left hip flexor. So you can choose what feels good for you. Maybe doing a mixture of both. So pushing the heel in and pressing away. I'll just do that one more time. Pushing the heel in and pressing away. And again, everyone's different. Maybe you even want to start taking it into your right elbow crease. So always just play around with it. I never believe there's one way to teach movement. I think everything in life is personalized. Just like there's different people, there's different ways of moving. So always experiment and find what feels good for you. We're then going to break the pose, come up and just roll over to the left so you're coming into a zigzag shape and recirculate that right ankle. So we'll just quickly take a twist before we do the other side. So I'm going to bring my left leg up and take it over my right thigh. If this pose is uncomfortable, just straighten out the right leg and come into this position. So again, just play around with it. Or if you need a block, sit up on the block. So I'm lifting my right arm up towards the sky, and then I'm placing my right elbow over my left thigh. Visualize as a button on the ceiling, so you're lifting up through the crown of the head, switching on that button, and then twist and gaze over your left shoulder. Draw the left shoulder down and away from the ears, and think of lifting up from the lower back, middle back, upper back. Head lifts last, and then you twist. So you can either stay here or you can thread that right arm underneath the left hamstring and either monkey grip or bind to that left wrist. So again, basing down, so find your base, lift up and lengthen, and then twist and gaze over that left shoulder. We'll then take it back to center. So we'll come through Malasana again to get to the other side. So I'm placing my feet down, pushing myself into a Malasana. Hands come down, and again, I'm bringing myself back into a downward facing dog. This time, let's bend both knees, hover them just off the mat, and then straighten the legs out, stretching out the hamstrings. One more time. So bending the knees, hover them just off the ground, and then straighten out. Nice. So I'm now going to take my left leg forward, coming into my pigeon. And again, you can place a block underneath that left hip to support you if you need to. Always checking that my left ankle and my right ankle are active, so always working from the feet upwards, being aware, asking yourself what's going on with them. And again, if you want to try and square the hips, you'd be tucking underneath the toes and pressing away, which will help to roll that right hip down. So either stay here or come onto the forearms. Or if this feels okay, you can start to walk your arms forward. Again, I'm not dropping my head down here, I'm gazing curiously forward. Or you could drop your head down. So again, ask yourself, what type of pigeon do you feel like being today? Are you all relaxed and lazy, slumping down into it? Or do you want to keep it active, lifting the knee, gazing forward, and just finding a little bit of strength in the flexibility? So it's always your choice and what you feel like. Different days have different purposes, and I kind of always feel like with movement too, you want it to be varied. So just like we change what we eat and we've got to have a varied diet, or we're meant to stay healthy, it's also good to have varied movement. So there's some days where you just want to stretch and relax, and there's other days where you want to work on strengthening, and it is important to have both. So we're then going to walk our way back up. So again, different choices here. I'm just going to turn around. So you're either going to take the right hand down, or you're going to bring that right forearm down. My right hand's pointing towards my left knee if I'm doing this. And again, the left hand's coming onto my lower back. So from here, I'm going to start to bend that right knee. I'm flexing the foot and I'm micro-pulsing the heel towards the bum for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Then pointing the toes, seeing how close I can get the foot without using my hands, so working my active mobility. And then taking that left hand onto the foot, turning the elbow to point up and pressing the heel in towards me. And again, the closer that my heel is to my bum, the more I'm going to feel it in the front of my leg, my quad. Or if I start to flex the foot and push away, it turns it into more of a hip flexor stretch. So you can play around with this movement. Find where you need it in your body. So what serves you today? And again, if you wanted to start to experiment, you could also experiment with taking that foot into the elbow crease. And by all means, if you need a strap, use a strap. Remember, with your yoga journey or movement journey, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So these things take a long time, and it's important to recognize that and not push yourself too quickly. Nice. So we're going to release, quarter turn over to the side, and just start to recirculate that left ankle, so get the blood flowing. I'm then going to bring my right leg over my left leg. Again, either stay here or you can straighten that left leg out, depending on how your body feels. I'm then going to twist. So I'll turn around so you can see. My left arm comes up towards the sky, and then I'm placing my left elbow over my right thigh. So again, think of working from the ground upwards. So I'm basing my sit bones down, lifting up lower back, middle back, upper back. Shoulders are relaxed, and I'm twisting and gazing over my right shoulder. Again, this pose can either be quite passive, or you can really keep it active. And either stay here, or that left arm would go underneath the right hamstring and you turn it into a bind. So again, pushing up through the top of my head like I'm pressing on an imaginary button, and then twisting and gazing over my right shoulder. We'll then break the pose. So we're just going to finish with a couple of neck stretches. So coming to an easy seated position, Sukhasana. And again, if you need to, sit upon a block for support. I'm then going to take my right arm up and take my right hand onto my left ear. With my left fingertips, I'm going to start to walk them away from me, and I'm drawing my right ear towards my right shoulder. So keep spider walking the left hand towards the left hand corner of the mat. And then from here, you can think of drawing the chin down towards the chest, and then lifting the head up and gazing towards the top. right hand corner of the room, or just keeping your eyes closed, going within. Bringing it back, and then from here, I'm going to walk my left hand around my back and see if I can reach for the inside of my right thigh. And again, I'd be pulling my right ear down and towards the shoulder. And again, you can experiment, chin towards the chest, and then head up towards the sky. And release. So let's come to the other side now. So taking that left hand up, placing it on top of the right ear, and again, just start to spider walk the fingertips away from you. Drawing the left ear towards the left shoulder, so you're getting a stretch down the right side of the neck. And again, you can play here with drawing the chin down towards the chest and gazing diagonally up towards the top left-hand corner of the room. So again, chin towards the chest and gazing up. Coming back to a more neutral position and then taking the right hand around the back and again, eventually working for the inside of that left thigh. Keep drawing that left ear towards the left shoulder, creating space between the tip of the right shoulder and the tip of the right ear. We'll then bring it back to the center. Take the hands over the chest, reaching for opposite shoulders, press the elbows down, lift the head up towards the sky, stretching out the throat. And then we'll interlace the hands around the back of the head, draw the elbows down, and just take a gentle rock from side to side here. When you're ready, coming back. So let's just take a moment, let's just check in. So closing your eyes, taking the hands together in prayer. Again, just observing your body. So how is it feeling now? Observing your posture. Noticing any subtle changes in either the body or the breath. And maybe there's some, maybe there's none. It doesn't really matter. What we're practicing is being aware without judgment and just checking in. Maybe setting an intention for the rest of the day, even if it's as simple as giving yourself space. So finding spaciousness. Knowing that we can't give what we don't have, so it's so important to just set aside time for you and just to clear out and let go of anything that's holding you back. We'll then take the thumbs towards the forehead, so center of our intuition, choosing to keep our thoughts positive, to our lips, center of our communication, keeping our words kind, but also speaking our truth, and to the heart, center of action, choosing to keep your actions full of love. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. Lots of love and namaste.